So here it is. This is the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 3, the company's trump card in its mission to put more foldable smartphones into consumers' pockets. So you know what, instead of doing a first impressions video the very next day after I got the Z Flip 3, I decided to spend some more time with it. So here I am 5 days later. You should not consider this as the full review of the phone. This is just an ongoing one where I actually dig deep and share my personal thoughts, an experiential review, if you must, of using the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 3, because the foldable form factor is still a novelty despite the fact that it could change soon. Well, my name is Ershad, you're watching My Smart Price. Let's get this video started. But before we move on, don't forget to hit that red subscribe button and the bell icon right next to it to get notified whenever My Smart Price puts out an awesome new tech video. And we're trying to get to 100k really soon, so we'll take all your support. As expected, what you get inside the box is just the phone and the charging cable. You will have to buy a Type-C charging adapter separately. Coming to the phone's design, just like the Fold 3, Samsung has added IPX8 rating for the Flip 3 as well. Now I can actually take a foldable phone to the restroom, sit on the pot, and scroll through my relentless Instagram reel feed. Oh, come on, don't act so coy. I know you guys do it too. And if you do, comment with the hashtag loser below. Loser, user. Get it? Get it? No?
अरे कहना क्या चाहते हो?
Moving on from that sad attempt at humor, the Z Flip 3 is narrower and thinner compared to the first generation Z Flip. I could immediately sense that it felt far more natural and convenient to hold. Plus, the combination of the sturdy matte aluminum frame and Corning's Gorilla Glass Victus inspires a lot of confidence in its build quality. I was less worried about the two pieces snapping apart while flipping the phone open with one hand compared to when I used to do that with the original Galaxy Z Flip. That said, there is still some resistance while trying to flip it open with one swift motion. You require some more energy to do it cleanly. Anyway, you know what I love about this flip form factor, and something that never gets old, is cutting the call by slamming the phone shut. By the way, by default, the unfold to pick up call option is switched off. I'd suggest you actually switch it on because it's really useful. Also, another thing I did is switch on face unlock on an Android phone after ages. I did this just so the phone unlocks the moment I flip it open, and it works like a charm. But so does a side-mounted fingerprint scanner, so nothing to worry about. Now, I know there are compromises to this form factor that you will have to live with if you want to use a Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 3 on a daily basis, and I will come to those in a bit. But boy, is it fun to use this phone or what? The Z Flip 3's flip form factor is to the world of smartphones what Sehwag was to the world of cricket. Entertaining from start to finish. The tiny cover display from the Galaxy Z Flip now makes way for a much larger real estate up front. As a result, you can do a lot more with it. The first screen you'll be greeted to is the home screen with the clock. Swipe right and you will see all the notifications. Now, while you can read the notification on this small display, you cannot reply from here. You will have to open up the phone for that. In that regard, it is only a passive mode. But if you're using one of the widgets, by swiping left from the home screen, you can actually play pause music on your streaming app of choice, record voice, or even set a timer. Now, what I did notice was the widgets list was extremely limited, and I hope Samsung is opening up to third-party apps soon. You can also use this cover display to show a preview of the viewfinder to the subject so that they can frame themselves, or take a selfie of yourself using some hand gymnastics to grip the phone. Now, enough about the cover display. What's new on the front panel, you ask? Well, it now comes with 120Hz adaptive refresh rate support. Yes, it is definitely cool, but there are obvious downsides to it, and I'll get to that in a bit. By the way, the crease is still visible, but honestly, and previous Galaxy Z Flip owners will attest, you won't give a damn about it after a few hours of using it. But don't forget that this is still a very tall display, but here's what it means for actual, everyday usage. Now, the vertical height is absolutely godsend for scrolling through Twitter, reading long articles, and like I mentioned, watching Instagram Reels as well. Now, plus you have access to a one-handed mode in case you want to make it easier to access the top portion of the display. The only issue I noticed is Instagram stories are strangely showcased in a boxed mode. But when you're using the phone horizontally, most video content doesn't scale to the super wide aspect ratio of the Z Flip 3, and you're left with vertical black bars. However, when you're playing a game like Call of Duty, the extra real estate is super duper helpful. Ask gamers, they'll tell you why a widescreen gaming experience is super immersive. I had a blast playing on the Galaxy Z Flip 3. By the way, Samsung's done one fantastic thing with the design of the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 3 is that now the earpiece can also double up as a speaker, and therefore you get a stereo speaker setup. And since this phone is so wide when you hold it, in the landscape position, the distance between the left and the right speakers is quite exaggerated, and therefore the stereo separation sounds slightly more immersive. Now, as for the software tweaks in One UI, you have the option to use split screen or pop-out windows, which can now be forced on any app from the Labs setting. By the way, you can also drag the apps from the Edge panel to open up in pop-up or split mode as per your requirement. Then there's your flex mode for apps. For example, it is rather intuitive to use a touchpad on the bottom to swipe between the images in the gallery app. How cool is that? Now, the camera setup is virtually unchanged from the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip. You get the same 12 megapixel primary plus 12 megapixel ultra wide setup on the rear with a 10 megapixel selfie camera on the front. Obviously, some form of upgrade would have been nice, but this is what we get, and this is the cost cutting that has happened. I mean, it is not a bad camera or anything, but you can get better for the same price. I did manage to get some great shots with the phone though, just that the low light shots look slightly soft. Otherwise, it's still a very capable camera setup. Now, the Galaxy Z Flip 3 has a top-of-the-line Qualcomm 888 system-on-chip, but when you add that to the 120Hz refresh rate panel and a tiny 3300 mAh split battery, you should not expect good battery life. Now, my initial impressions of the battery life on the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 3 are not that great, and other reviews will tell you that the battery life is actually not that great. But what I'll do is I'll try to find tweaks for you to see that if there are any ways to improve the screen on time on the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 3. But I would have lived with the heavily truncated battery life provided Samsung had at least given 25 watt fast charging support, if not higher, because it does take a long time to charge the battery. Anyway, for what it is worth, you get support for wireless and reverse wireless charging as well, so that's good. Now hear me out, I was thinking out loud, would you rather have Samsung use the Snapdragon 870 processor, which will in turn give you slightly better battery life, and of course, add slightly better cameras as well in the process because you will have some money saved, and charge the same for the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 3? Would you think that that would be a good compromise? Let me know in the comment section below. Now, the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 3's biggest advantage is its pricing for sure. It's much lower than the launch price of the original Galaxy Z Flip all across the globe, including India as well. And I'm pretty certain that a lot of people who are planning to buy a premium Android phone or even an iPhone 12 for that matter must be considering the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 3 now, considering you get a foldable form factor for the same price. Now, if you look at the initial pre-order numbers in Korea, there are reports coming in that they're extremely positive, which means that I am expecting to see more foldable phones, at least the Z Flip 3, out in the wild, even in India. Evidently, my first impressions of the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 3 are very positive, and I reiterate out here, the fun quotient of using this phone is just too high. Yes, it's much higher than the original Galaxy Z Flip as well, because now you can have unbridled fun without having to worry about the structural integrity of the phone, thanks to the fact that you now get added IPX8 certification on a foldable smartphone as well. But you know what, I will come back with more comparisons with similar phones, non-foldable form factors, and of course my thoughts on how the compromises of this design actually affect long-term usage, because that's when I'll know that if I can actually daily drive the Z Flip 3. Anyway, so wait for that video for sure. I hope you guys liked this one. Until then, this is Esha from MySmartBoy signing off. Goodbye and Godspeed, my friends.